Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and this is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't have to, and today we're going to talk about Nano Dimension's NNDM stock to determine whether or not the stock is still a good buying opportunity right now. We're also going to talk about Senseonics SENS stock and their FDA approval, and what we should do and what strategies we should use to get the most money from the SENS stock and based off of their catalyst that's coming up. And then finally, we're going to talk about Sofi Technologies, ticker symbol SOFI, to see if this is a good stock to buy during this major tech sell-off. Remember to go and smash the like button right now, subscribe if you are new, comment your thoughts down below about Nano Dimension, Senseonics, or Sofi Technologies, and now let's get right into the video. So Nano Dimension stock, ticker symbol NNDM, has recently traded around $3.81 per share. We also see that it has a high beta of around 2.35, and for a beta, to put it into perspective, it measures the volatility of a stock, and the beta of the S&P 500 is going to be 1, so a beta of 1 is going to be the overall stock market. Naturally, Nano Dimension is going to be more volatile than other stocks because it trades at such a cheap valuation right now, and the price ranges between $3.73 and $3.90 as of late. However, the NNDM stock has reached heights of around $17.89, and the low so far has been $3.67, but with the current selling pressure, it wouldn't surprise me if the stock kept pushing lower. The company's stock has lost around almost 18% just over the last 30 days, so in a single month, it has lost almost 20% of its value. Now, Nano Dimension's market cap is around $945 million right now, which has fallen from a couple billion dollars. So is this a good buying opportunity right now, or should we hold off? Well, considering their next earnings report, which will be released anywhere between March 9th and March 14th, we could see that Nano Dimension is going to deliver a huge earnings beat. And according to analysts and their estimates for their revenues, the forecasted revenue for the entire year of 2021 is expected to reach around $5 million, which would represent almost a 50% increase from the last year's report. If we look over the technical indicators for the NNDM stock, the short-term indicators say that the stock is a sell, the medium-term indicators also say that the stock is a sell, and the long-term indicators also agree with the previous short-term and medium-term indicators saying that the stock is in fact a sell. However, if we look at what analysts are rating the stock as, currently one analyst is covering the NNDM stock, and he has a buy rating on it with around a $10 price target. Because only one analyst is covering the stock, the low end, high end, and average and median price targets are all the same at around $10. However, Nano Dimension does have a lot of good news coming out about it, especially lately, because now it's developing a nanoparticle conductive ink with the collaboration and help of XTPL. If you didn't already know, Nano Dimension is an additive manufacturer of electronic devices, and they also specialize in micro additive manufacturing for the 3D printing segment. This collaboration with XTPL is going to be to develop a new particle-based conductive ink. This ink is going to enable high conductivity and high performance materials that are suitable for 3D printing of electronic devices, and it's going to deliver ultra precise delivery of nanomaterials exactly where manufacturers want them. The chief executive officer of XTPL even commented saying this, and I quote, "We are excited about this collaboration as we believe that the combination of the market position and technological solutions of Nano Dimension alongside XTPL's competitive technology and know-how of producing high-performance conductive inks will contribute greatly to the development of the AME market." The chief product officer of Nano Dimension then responded by commenting this, and I quote, "Adding new materials to our portfolio is a key strategic aim for Nano Dimension. In addition to in-house development of dielectric and conductive ink, we partner with material companies to expand our material portfolio for different applications. The expertise of XTPL will enable our customers to more easily develop new classes of high-performance electronic devices, also known as HiPEDs, on our AME intelligent systems combining software, hardware, deep machine learning, and materials for advanced industrial solutions." Nano Dimension also had other really good news come out about it recently, and that was their acquisition of Global Inkjet Systems. But however, this has not caused the stock price to skyrocket, and these are not giant catalysts because the current selling pressure for the NNDM stock is so high. Good news is not going to be enough to bring it out. Now, maybe a really impressive earnings beat will when their earnings report comes out. However, we're going to have to wait and see. If we look at the NNDM chart, we can see that I originally started to report on Nano Dimension around $1.55 before it skyrocketed to around $17 at this peak over here. Now, ever since then, the stock has been slowly trailing downwards despite it trading trading below its current valuation, and let me tell you what I mean by that. As we discussed earlier, Nano Dimension has a market cap of around $945 million currently, but Nano Dimension has around $1.2 billion on their balance sheet. So just the money on their balance sheet is worth more than the entire company. Management can also use this money to land more partnerships, collaborations, contracts, or acquisitions of other companies to increase either their intellectual portfolio or market reach. And that's what we're really aiming here for. So Nano Dimension is trading at a huge discount because the current company is worth less than just the amount of cash that they have on hand. This doesn't include their intellectual property or their assets if they were ever to liquidate. The current NNDM stock price trades for around $3.69 currently, but if we take into considerations their assets, intellectual property, and especially the amount of cash that they have on their balance sheet, the stock price should be trading at around $5.50 per share. Now, eventually the market will probably get wind of this, most likely after their next earnings report, but we're going to wait and see because, like I said, we can see huge selling pressure from the NNDM stock. For our next story, I want to talk about the SENS stock price, which is Senseonics Holdings, ticker symbol SENS, and this is a medical technology company that develops long-term glucose monitoring systems for people with diabetes. And a lot of investors are talking about Senseonics Holdings right now because it's a very hot topic, mainly because of their FDA approval catalyst coming up. We even saw that the stock prices increased by almost a whole percent lately, putting the stock at around $2.70. However, the current stock price is down, much like Nano Dimension, around 51% just in the last year. We also see some insider selling from a director last recorded on December 6th, and they sold around 136,000 shares at around $2.53, which gained them around $345,441 in total. Now, similar to Nano Dimension, Senseonics does have a decently strong balance sheet, at least enough to cover their total debts, because for short-term investments and the cash that they have on hand currently, they currently are sitting on almost $100 million of cash or cash equivalents, and we can put this up against their debt, which is only $63.97 million, so they could pay off all of their debts if they really wanted to. However, right now it's in their best interest to keep this cash on hand. Not to mention that their net income also grew around 154%, which is phenomenal news. But what do analysts think about the SENS stock? Well, the recent analyst report from H.C. Wainwright launched a cover of this stock and they give it a buy rating. However, other analysts are not so bullish on the stock and they have a consensus of hold, so we should hold the stock according to analysts. Two brokerages and advisors rate the SENS stock as a sell, while another two say to hold it. But three analysts in total actually say that this is a good buying opportunity right now because of how they're going to scale their revenues in the future. Their price targets range anywhere from 80 cents all the way up to $6 on the high end, which would give our median price target for the SENS stock of $3.75 in total. Now, Senseonics has received a lot of publicity lately, mainly because of their FDA approval catalyst, and I did a whole video on this, but I'm also going to quote the last part of this article, which says, and I quote, "We are confident a decision regarding the approval of the 180-day system will be made in the coming weeks as the FDA continues to clear out the backlogs." So management is saying that they are confident that their CGM system, which can last for 180 days, which is an increase of twofold from their previous 90-day system, and this is going to allow them to infiltrate the United States market, which is a huge diabetes market, which is going to have them flood with revenues. They're also supposed to scale their revenues very nicely, and for the whole year, Senseonics management is looking to land anywhere between $12 million to $15 million in revenue. So how should we play this? Well, if we look at the SENS stock price chart, we can see that I started to report on the stock around 50 cents per share, and ever since then we can see major volatility, but it's basically consolidating until we get the FDA approval. Now, once we get the FDA approval, how are we going to use this to our advantage? After the FDA approval comes out for their 180-day system, they could fail it. However, I don't think that they're going to fail their FDA approval because their 90-day system already came in clean with the FDA many years ago. So what could the stock price do? Well, it's not going to consolidate any longer because we have then met the catalyst, so the only thing we can do is we can watch out for a pre-anticipatory run, which we do not see here. It's consolidating, and normally after a consolidation which leads to a catalyst, normally we can see an increase in the stock's price and in the stock's trading volume, which we are seeing with the SENS stock. Now, there is also always a chance that the stock ends up trending downwards, and in this case, you're going to want to use the stop loss if your brokerage offers that to your advantage. And before I move on, I want to make it clear that the current stock price is around $2.59. It could go all the way up to $6 after FDA approval, according to analysts, or it has the potential to drop all the way down just to 80 cents. Now, lastly, I want to talk about one of my favorite growth stocks, which is Sofi technology stock, ticker symbol SOFI. As you know, lately, the tech sector has been selling off very dramatically, and that includes stocks like Sofi Technologies. However, I still think that Sofi Technologies is a great growth stock, even during this current market condition, and I'm going to tell you why. So they have three major segments that's going to bring them in the majority of their revenues. The first one is their lending, then we have their technology platform, and then we have their financial services. So lending is where they get a huge chunk of their revenues, and it mainly comes from student loans, personal loans, and home loans. Now, student loans were always their bread and butter. However, this is going to actually be kicked back further, which means that students aren't obligated to pay it right now, which is going to decrease the revenue outlook for Sofi Technologies. So we're going to have to be aware of that. However, on the other hand, their technology platform, specifically Galileo, which is an application programming interface and payment platform for fintech, and Galileo has seen around an 80% increase, which is going to be fantastic, and it's going to reflect very positively on their revenues, even substituting some of the losses we could see from student loans. Lastly, they also have their financial services, and they are rapidly developing this, which includes their Sofi Invest, which is their brokerage account. They have Sofi Money, they're going to offer credit cards, and they also offer insurance products to a certain degree through third parties. Overall, Sofi expects to post around $1 billion worth of revenue for 2021 for the entire year, and this is a giant increase of around 61% from their total revenues for 2020, which was around $621 million. Their personal loan business also has seen great adoption lately, and that has increased around 167%. Like I said earlier, once student loan relief ends, this is going to also boost their revenue sources. However, this is not supposed to end until later in 2022, as of the most current policies regarding student loans. Now, I do want to see these metrics so we can understand how the Sofi stock, as well as Sofi as a company, is scaling. We can see for their members, their lending products, their financial services, and Galileo accounts have all increased very intensely over the last year, especially if we compare it to the prior year. Look at these phenomenal numbers: 96% increase, 15% increase, 179% increase, 80% increase. So this is phenomenal to see, and hopefully this can continue well into 2022, 2023, all the way until 2025. By looking at these metrics, we can see that Sofi has experienced blistering growth, which is fantastic news for the overall stock. I also want to mention that their adjusted earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, also known as EBITDA, has also increased and been positive over the last 5 quarters. So in their next earnings report, we could even get an earnings beat. However, a $12 billion market cap is nothing compared to PayPal Holdings or Block, which formerly was called Square, which means that Sofi Technologies has great growth prospects because it's so small right now. Overall, Sofi Technologies is going to be one of my favorite stocks that I'm going to be keeping an eye on well into 2022, and this could be a fantastic long-term growth fintech technology play that is going to give investors very good returns over the next decade potentially. But again, this is not financial advice. This is information and articles that I think are relevant for you all to know. Comment your thoughts down below about Sofi, NNDM stock, and the SENS stock price. Turn on all subscription notifications to stay informed. Remember to smash the like button if you didn't already, and I will see you in the next YT video.